Today on Gamers Couch.
Essen 2014, Fallout and rehabilitation plans. Or Lost Legacy.
Hi guys. So we're back from the 2.5 days of Spiel.
You're super awake.
Are you? Yeah. Anyways, so we're back. It's Saturday that we're shooting this lovely vlog because we have some other things to do tomorrow, and wanted to make sure that you got the vlog in time. So, quick recap, hash, blah, zav, zav from the
Give us some numbers on the weekend, which is actually starting right now because it's Saturday and this is not. It feels like there have been two very eventful weekends already happened before the actual weekend is starting.
So, you wanted numbers? Okay. 2.5 days of visiting the trade show. More than 20 kilometers walking on concrete in those 2.5 days. 26 new games, including expansions and bought promo stuff. Plus 1 Warzone fraction. Very many euros spent on games, food and drinks.
24 packages of handkerchiefs that explain why my voice sounds so ultra gravelly. Because I was sick starting Monday and kept on being sick till Wednesday, and then I luckily got better, but still the majority of sneezing and all that great jazz. So I'm one of the Germinators or Germans in the Spielmesse.
More numbers. Yeah, we got some more for you. We had... Oh, I forgot. God damn it. What did I want to say? Oh, yeah. We played 2 demos at the warm-up event. We played another 2 demos today on the show floor. We had probably 1,589 laughs with the group of friends that we hung out with during those 2.5 days, or 3 days if you count Wednesday. So that was a lot of fun. We probably strained 1.5 muscle carrying all the bags and stuff. But all in all, it was a lovely, lovely experience. And again, so enjoyable, so exhausting, and so crazy. So.
But also, Essen is a great show to do some stuff that you usually don't get a chance to do. I mean, we sat down and chatted with, I think, 5 or 6 different designers of board games, and from pretty much any scale, from like smaller guys who just brought out their first game up to luminaires like Bruno Cathala or Jordan Wiseman, and actually whoever you talk to, they're all really, really nice guys. And
very humble.
It's super cool to talk to them, and in fact, if you don't plan on buying a board game, but if you're interested in the hobby and doing all that, and can make it to Essen, do that just to meet the people who make the things, and well, maybe take the chance and say, hey, I really like what you've been doing. I've been enjoying some of your games. I guess it's rewarding for them as much as it is for us to see all the great stuff coming out and all the fun we had.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I guess, shall we go for the first game that we played from our haul of games this year?
Expect the program for the next 5 years.
26 weeks. We're gonna review all of them.
Set in stone. We're cheating because today we're talking not about one game, but we're talking about 2 games. And in this particular case, it is Lost Legacy, and it translates to the Starship and the Flying Garden, or das Sternenschiff und der fliegende Garten.
There was your German lesson for today.
Which I assume is already out in the rest of the world as usual, and this seems to be the German release. We just picked it up because there's one name on this box that strikes out to everybody who has seen our love letter review or talk something. Seiji, I am terribly sorry for butchering the name. I'll read it right off the box to make super sure. It's Lost Legacy is made by Hayato Kisaragi and Seiji Kanai, and Seiji Kanai is obviously the guy who
made Love Letter.
Who worked on Love Letter, and the game we very much appreciate for its simpleness, though still having a long-term strategic thing if you're playing a lot of games back to back. So, Lost Legacy, as I said, are actually two games. The first game is called The Starship, and the second one is called The Flying Garden. Both very similar, but they come with different cards. So you could say, or if I had to sum it up with some reference, it is very similar to Love Letter in terms that it's one of those micro games with only 16 cards per game, and you try to win by either getting other players out or by having or actually revealing, that's different in this one, a special card, which for Love Letter was the princess, and here it is Lost Legacy, because you're guys searching for a starship that crashed in the past, and they're all in the past, so it's like in a galaxy far, far away, and then copyright came in and said you may not use this because
maybe you just lost something.
Yeah, a legacy.
I guess so.
Or mind or something. I'm still sick. I have all the excuses.
No.
Oh, token cough. So in terms of how it's played, everybody draws a card. Then once it's your turn, you draw a second card. Choose which one of those two you want to play, and each card has a unique effect, which could be something like take a look at the next card on the deck, and afterwards you may decide if you want to trade that card with your the card on your hand, or if you want to put that card into something called what was it?
Ruin.
The ruin, yeah. Into the ruin, but that's face down, and that is actually important. So the game continues on with all those card effects, and it could be something like take a look at another player's hand, and there are cards in there that specifically say if someone's looking at your card through a card effect, they are out of the game. So it's like a trap mechanism and stuff like that. Or there's cards that so if you play a card, you don't put it into a general discard pile, but you put it in front of you. And there are some cards that have some specific effect once they get into your personal discard pile. Like there's a priest that allows you to die once, and she will revive you, and then the card gets flipped over. Or there's a wound that does that, or a storyteller which
looks like Gandalf.
So let's take a look.
Without the glare.
Let's take a look at a blurry artwork which you can't see because the camera won't focus automatically because with technology. Let me try to replace my face with the card and.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Now you may zoom in on your screen and see the storyteller there. So the storyteller allows you to search for another card at the end of the game, which brings us to the end of the game. At the end of the game, everybody sort of starts by going through the numbers 1 to I think 8, starting with 1, and essentially, pretty much, if you have a card of that number, it's your turn to flip over a card, and if the card you flip over is the Lost Legacy, you immediately win the game. That card that you flip over is any card in the game that is face down. So it could be the card you have on hand. It can be the card of any other player's hand, or it could be a card in the ruin. And that's pretty much it, I think, where
Any
what
any
cards may be.
available card. Yeah.
So it's not about getting the Lost Legacy cards. It's about knowing where it is and potentially not let other people know where it is, but still be able to keep track of it. And it's not as grim as the Princess and Love Letter in terms of if you have to play the Lost Legacy, you immediately lose the game. But instead, it will be put face down into the ruin, and then all the ruin cards get shuffled. So you don't really know which one is the Lost Legacy, and so on. And that is essentially the game. The differences between the Starship and the Flying Garden are just in the different actions that the cards are taking.
You could combine both of the decks as
Yeah,
well
that-
if you liked, or
that
if
is-
you have 6 players.
That is a nice thing about that. If you want to play a longer game or have more than 4 players, you just take out one of the Lost Legacy cards and just put them together, and there you go. And
Yeah.
suddenly you have 32 card, not so micro, but let's call it a medium something game. It's a card game. But it's...
Oh boy.
See, the camera also died of laughter. So, as simple as that sounds, that is...
It's quite thinky.
It is pretty much the game, and yes, it is quite thinky. So with Love Letter, so first of all, I want to avoid comparing too much to Love Letter, but it's from not only from the same guy, but it's the same kind of game.
Yeah.
But there's one big difference. Love Letter feels to me all about elimination.
Yeah, it's very aggressive.
Getting the other player out of the game early on and being the last one standing. And from the, arguably 3.8 million games we both played.
3.9.
Yeah. I would assume the majority ended by having the other one eliminated from the game and not by having the game follow through and then having the highest card as the other victory condition was.
Yeah.
Here, you're much more likely to stick through to the end. And then make your guess at the Lost Legacy. And it's not guaranteed that you know where the Lost Legacy is. So it could be a wild guess. It's there's so many cards that let you change cards with your hand, with another player's hand into the ruin, shuffle the ruin, then have 3 dressed apes dance over the ruin. There's so many stuff that's going on in there, but you will lose track of the apes and the Lost Legacy.
Yeah.
And at the end. And I like that. It's refreshing.
Very much so. I have to say there's a couple of things that feel very similar to Love Letter and a couple of things that are very different from Love Letter, and both have their place. They're both in the category of dinner games for me. So the games that we usually play after dinner before going back to work that are like 30 minutes long and we can enjoy one round, maybe 2, depending. What I like a lot about it and what is different to Love Letter is that everybody playing in the game stays involved with the game until the final count, the final scoring. With Love Letter, with more than 2 people playing, we had it a couple of times that one person got eliminated fairly early on and then had to sit through the whole game of the other 2 battling on and on and on and on, which is okay and not too long. But if you're unlucky, like 3 times in a row, you might zone out a bit while you're waiting for the others to end the game. With Lost Legacy, that's pretty much impossible. So I like that a lot. Also, what I like, the cards are very simple. The texts are very clear. They state very clearly what you're supposed to do and not to do. So there's not any big confusions on what the specific card can do. So you can even play it as a newbie, like first round. You can play it in a very loud pub with a couple of beers in your system, and you still can play a very fun and solid game. And we tried that yesterday, and we succeeded. So we speak from experience with the loud surroundings, and still you can explain that game in like 2 sentences and stop playing, and it's a lot of fun. So I enjoyed that very much. Also, the artwork is very decent, so the cards are just nice to look at, and they feel nice. They're kind of rough in your hand and very, very big, just like the love letter cards were. So very sturdy material, and even for clumsy, for the reference deck.
Yeah.
So even for clumsy people like me, or other people in my immediate family, fumble. This is very, very nice components to play a game with.
Now, I don't have any immediate criticism to that so far. The only thing I thought was a little bit weird is that they try to make it seem like 2 games because they're too similar to be 2 distinct games. So if I go and see on the shelf Starship and another box that said The Flying Garden, and I bought one after the other, I probably would have been disappointed because it's too thin.
Yeah.
The difference for
it's
both
just
games.
The mechanisms of the other cards are different, but the whole game is the same game with both decks.
That being said, both those games feel a little bit, at least to me, like there were too many ideas around when they created this, and then they just said, yeah, and you know what? Let's make 2 games. Make 2 games and keep it with 16 cards at each game. And
the player can choose how many cards he wants.
And it's weird. There's no overlap between.
No. There's not
no card of the one game is in the other game, but still they feel different. And I guess that comes from the main mechanic of trying to find the lost legacy.
Yeah. But then again, I think one game is a bit too thin for 4 players, like we played yesterday. We played with a set of 4 players, so I liked both decks combined way better for 4 people. I think for 2 people, one deck would even be just a nice amount of cards that you could use for like one game.
And I've got to say, both decks have the same kind of interactivity between players. There's not, you couldn't go and say one is more competitive than the other.
No. Or more difficult or advanced.
Yeah, it's very, very similar, and that is not really a criticism. It just felt a little bit weird to me. But I mean, hey, it even comes with a description how to make your own 16-card deck. If you have a couple of cards you really like, it just gives you some pointers. You should make sure that a number of cards of that value have to be in there, and the number of that value, and so on, to keep things balanced, which is pretty much genius. It's like a little build-your-own microgame box.
Which also, I think, increases replayability. That the different ways that you could play this game, deck A, deck B separate, deck A, deck B together, randomizing the deck or building the own deck with your favorite cards. It might be that, especially that point feels very different from the standard game there. So I think it increases replayability.
Yeah.
And you don't get sick and tired of or blah, 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 sick. I will be able to talk English. Hold on. My tongue just has to. I have to untie the knot.
No problem. But
sick and tired of that game. Now I got it. Jeez.
As I said, it's very, very tough to complain if you're getting twice as many cards as you would with just a finely edited game. But on the other hand, it feels a bit like the designer saying, "Yeah, here's 2 ways. Go." I mean,
choose what you like more.
And then maybe you like, maybe you don't, make your own, and tried. So, and that is, as I said, no complaint at all. But I might, and I have no idea if that is the reason, but I could understand because I heard someone mention that Love Letter has only 16 cards and it's how much? 15 euros. That's quite expensive, and I might be wrong about the price. I have no idea how much it is. I think we paid.
We
it
paid
was
8
15.
euros.
Was it 8?
8 euros.
Even then, it's 16 cards. So where's my value that they changed that and included more cards to make it more game? Which, in this case, But then again, I'm coming from the mindset that I'd rather prefer a skillfully edited and designed game instead of here's a box, make your own. Like try to find your own best balanced way that you have fun with.
Yeah, because then I could really make my own game. I wouldn't buy a game then.
Yeah. So
if it goes to that level of choose what you want to do with a game, then I would go to the store and buy some components and design my own.
So certain, as I said, certainly not a negative aspect.
No, I actually liked it
about this, but that was a thought that came up, and I guess that's what we're doing here. We're talking stuff about stuff.
Maybe if somebody knows why there are 2 decks in it, maybe you want to give us a hint.
Write the designer and tell him to tell us.
Yeah.
Because
we're clueless, but we enjoy the game.
Tell him to Twitter to the duck.
Yeah. So, rating on a scale of 1 to awesome. How much did you like this game?
This is clearly a 4 storyteller among 6 high priests.
Okay. Whatever this means, I guess you like it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but then the Lost Legacy tipped this game. It's good.
Okay, I see.
Would I comparison time? Would I rather play this or Love Letter, or do we? Would I consider having this? Would that keep me from playing Love Letter because it would be a replacement? I'd say no. I'd say this will cut into playtime with Love Letter simply because it's nice to have a little bit variation on the theme, but a similar game for the same amount of time investment that is required.
I'm with you on that, but keep in mind that we, on average, play Love Letter on like 4 days a week at least with a dinner game. So I'm fine splitting up the time between Lost Legacy and Love Letter and still have 2 or 3 days a week playing each of the games for the dinner time. I really liked it, and I don't think it's a replacement. It's they coexist nicely in the 30-minute dinner universe. I really liked it.
Still, if you don't own any of those, I would still recommend Love Letter as
if you're 2
getting
players,
into the thing. Even if you're more than 2, if you know that you will be 5 or 6 people, then
go for Legacy.
Go this one. If you're a group or your friends 4 or less, I'd say start with Love Letter. And if that is a burning success with your group, grab this one as well. Can't hurt.
Then you have variation.
I think what was this on the fair? $15.
Yeah, something like that.
See, it's horrible. You get back, you spend all the money, you don't even know how much you spend on what, and
well, there's more important things than what you spend per game.
Then
the grand total is enough.
And then suddenly you realize you're poor. You have to do videos on YouTube. You've become us.
Sorry, I have a hard time keeping a straight face.
Talking about YouTubers,
Yeah,
funny thing,
right.
we met
Met a couple of
met a
them.
couple of them, and they all have been really nice. We
Yeah.
stumbled into Tom Vassell, who's actually a big guy.
He's so tall. I'm so tiny next
He's
to
not
him.
lying like that other man we met called Z Garcia, who we've been informed formally he's a liar, but mostly in games.
Yeah.
We were
And
not.
he needs to be fed.
Yeah, we were not allowed to buy him dinner. So
Yeah.
Tom Vassell mentioned on the Dice Tower that once we see Z, someone should buy him dinner and do that. And of course also Eric Summoner, who's surprisingly trying to be out of sight. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's hiding behind Tom Vassell, but it's like, yeah, these audio guys, they know how to vanish into the background. And,
Yeah. I think we saw Ryan as well from the Dice Tower network, Ryan Metzler.
Yeah,
Did we?
I
think it was him.
We haven't talked to him, but
Yeah.
he looked very, very Ryan Metzler-y.
Yeah, if
is that
that's-
word. Yeah. But some guy I identified by voice because he was standing behind me at the Stronghold booth, which was a pleasant surprise. The typical. Your voice sounds
I know you.
familiar.
Where do I know you from?
Do you do things on the internet maybe? And he said, yeah, I have this YouTube channel called Rado Runs Through, which is another really, really great channel that does reviews and gameplay videos of games. And yeah, he's also a super nice guy. And well, I've watched and enjoyed a couple of his videos, and they've been quite helpful, like the Shadowrun Crossfire thing or Pathfinder. And actually, he did one of the games I then chose to pick up at Essen, which is Redacted, which is a spy versus spy sort of setting game. Which was it's nice to see
nice.
those people
The
and be, as I said earlier, as with the designers, to meet all those people, find out that they're actually human,
and that they're just nice.
And
lovely
even
people.
nice, yeah. It's
very
it's
humble,
super,
very sweet.
very
all of them.
surprising. I thought they all become bitter from the internet and the comments, and no, it's
yeah. That was battery change.
Now we need an outro, a proper one, not the cool one I did when the camera was out. But you only get me dancing on my head once in every.
And you don't want to see it. It's not that pretty. I don't know. So, why don't we give a shout out to the other lovely people that we experienced Spiel 2014 with.
Shout out to you, guy at the entrance who scanned my ticket and let me. Great job. It's
the important ones.
Oh.
I mean, not that he is not important, but important. With the other.
Oh, okay. So people at the fair, or people we
not
know
the ones
we
who
deem
stood
important.
in our way or stepped on our feet. I don't mean those people. No, I mean, like, for example, Bruce. Shout out to you, and it was very lovely to experience Spiel 2014 with you, and well, just enjoy having fun. It was lovely. We
Number
gotta
2.
do that next year.
So this will take a while. So if you ever consider that your name being meant, no, let's do this properly and speed up. Thanks for sharing with us your time and running around, and that goes to all the guys running around with me, including Bruce, Steve,
Jesse,
G,
Phil. Whom else? Did we have another? No. What was his name? The guy that also was in
Friends of Bruce, whose
Friends
name we've
of Bruce,
forgotten.
yeah.
No, I think one was Raleigh, which showed up.
Dave? Dave,
yeah.
was very
And we're terrible at this. Remembering, we're tired. We're so sorry.
I'm really bad with names, but everybody who spent time with us on the Spiel, thank you very much for this lovely experience, and we will see you probably, hopefully, next year, latest, at the new Spiel fair, and we gotta do that all over again.
And again, we're sorry for the terrible German English that we forced upon you. At least I did with my cold and talking like a robot.
I actually think it's kind of sexy, but that's just me. It's a nice voice.
You think this bad neighborhood? No, that's more Russian.
Okay. Well, I think we just gotta wrap it here. Not rabbit, and not ribbit, and not all of the other animals. We're gonna wrap up that vlog. We're gonna see you next week with a new edition, with a new review of one of those lovely other remaining 25 games.
We are now out of games, so we will never ever again talk about games.
Why are you always interrupting me?
Oh, you were talking? I'm sorry. If I have my cold and I don't hear on the frequency when my wife is sitting next to me frequency. So goodbye.
No. Goodbye. Have a very good one. Any questions? Let us know. Otherwise, we're gonna see you next week. Enjoy. Take good care. Bye.